a son who couldn't wait to leave, a father who never stopped watching the road. This is a story about a young man who demanded his inheritance early, wasted it all on reckless living, and ended up feeding pigs in a foreign land, starving, ashamed, and certain he had ruined everything beyond repair. But this story isn't really about how far he fell. It's about what was waiting for him when he finally turned around. Stay with me. You need to hear how his father responds. There was a father with 2 sons, and one day the younger son approached him with a shocking request. "Father, give me my share of the inheritance now." In that culture, asking for your inheritance while your father was still alive was almost like saying, "I wish you were already dead to me." It was a request dripping with disrespect. And yet, remarkably, the father did not argue, did not lecture him, did not refuse. He simply divided his property between his 2 sons, handing the younger one everything he was asking for, knowing full well how this story might end. Not long after, the younger son gathered everything he had and set off for a distant country, as far from his father's watchful eyes as he could get. And there he spent everything, every coin, every possession, on wild, reckless living. Friends surrounded him as long as the money flowed. Parties filled his nights. For a while, freedom felt exactly like he had imagined it would. But money like that never lasts, and neither did the people who had gathered around it. When the funds finally ran dry, so did every relationship he thought he had built. Just as his money ran out completely, a severe famine swept across the entire country, and the young man found himself with nothing. No savings, no friends, no way home. Desperate, he took the only job he could find, feeding pigs for a local farmer. For a Jewish son raised to see pigs as unclean, this was about as low as life could possibly get. He grew so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs began to look appetizing. Alone, starving, and far from everything familiar, he finally hit the bottom of everything he had built for himself. Sitting in that pig pen, starving and utterly humiliated, something shifted inside him. He thought of his father's house, where even the hired servants had more than enough bread to eat, while he was here dying of hunger. And he made a decision. He would go home, not as a son demanding anything, but as a servant, begging simply for a place to work and survive. He rehearsed the words in his mind again and again. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." With nothing left to lose, he got up and began the long walk home. But here is where the story turns in a way no one expected. While the sun was still a long way off, barely a speck on the horizon, his father saw him, which means the father had been watching that road day after day, waiting, hoping, refusing to give up on a son who had walked away with such contempt. And the moment he recognized that familiar figure in the distance, the father didn't wait at the doorway with arms crossed. He ran, an older, dignified man, lifting his robes and running down the dusty road toward his broken son, filled with compassion before a single word of apology had even been spoken. The father reached his son and embraced him tightly, kissing him before the boy could even finish his rehearsed apology. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father wasn't interested in punishment or probation. He turned to his servants immediately. "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The very things that marked sonship, the robe, the ring, the sandals, were restored to him instantly. No questions asked, no waiting period required. But not everyone in this story celebrated. The older son, returning from the fields, heard music and dancing coming from the house and asked a servant what was happening. When he learned his father was throwing a feast for his reckless younger brother, he refused to go inside. burning with resentment. His father came out and pleaded with him, but the older son couldn't hold back his anger. All these years I've slaved for you and never disobeyed you, yet you never gave me so much as a young goat to celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours comes back, after wasting your money on wild living, you kill the fattened calf for him. Years of quiet bitterness poured out all at once. This story isn't only about a wayward son who came home. It's about a father whose love was never dependent on either son deserving it. The younger son thought he had wasted his way out of belonging. The older son thought his years of obedience should have earned him something more. But the father's answer to both of them was the same. Everything I have is already yours. You never had to earn a place at this table. Maybe you feel like the younger son today. Certain you've wandered too far, wasted too much, disqualified yourself from grace. Or maybe you feel like the older son, quietly resentful, wondering why faithfulness doesn't seem to be noticed. Either way, the same Father is watching the road for you and running toward you before you've even said a word. If this story reminded you that grace runs toward you before you even finish your apology, subscribe to Stone and Sling and join us as we bring these ancient stories to life, one video at a time. Which story should we tell next? Let us know in the comments below.